Welcome to It's On Talk Show. We are so glad you're watching the show again. And today we're at a symposium at the I Can't We Can program on Park Heights. And I have here my very special guest and president of this organization, Israel Kason. How you doing?
I'm just right, y'all.
I'm so glad, again, the invitation for the community to let them know what's going on here today. And could you tell the community exactly what's going on?
Well, what we're having here today is a youth symposium, and that's we're creating a dialogue between all the youth providers and youth health workers and politicians and clergy people and anybody that's involved with our children. We have opened up a dialogue because we operate off the premise, what I do is recovery.
Yes.
I get people after they have went through their addiction and lived the addiction-free lifestyle, and then I try to recycle them or bring them back and recover them.
Right.
Where we have been trying to have a war on drugs, we try to medicate our way out of it, legislate our way out of it, and concentrate our way out, and none of that's never going to work. Because as long as the fuel is still coming in, there's going to be a demand for the drugs. So what we had to approach it with a holistic approach, and that's stop the fuel is to stop the children. That'll reduce the demand for the drugs.
So you saying what you do is contact the parents so that children won't become addicts.
Right. And that way we won't have to worry about recovery. Eventually, I hope to be out of a job.
Well, let me say this. In order to get the children to never use drugs, that means you have to make contact and you have to educate the parents. And how would you plan to do that?
Well, you know, the antidote is through the children. And you know, like the Bible says, the children will lead us.
Yes.
Once we start taking care of the children from birth, and they don't get into an addictive-centered lifestyle, then there's never going to be no need for those tools that they use, the drugs and the alcohol and the guns, because we're going to change the lifestyle.
Well, I'm sure, of course, you would have to be involved in the school systems, the community at large. The churches would have to be a part of it. The politicians. So so you're saying that these folks are here at the symposium today?
This is why everybody's coming together today, so that we can dialogue and pool our resources, so we can create a synergy. You know, there's a lot of people that's doing a lot of things, but they all separated. Right. The idea of the symposium is to bring everybody together, to create a new lifestyle. That's the only antidote to this problem. See, we have a lifestyle that's self-defeating and self-destructive. This is why when the governor said that there was an epidemic in the counties and in the rural areas, it's because it was affecting their lifestyle.
Okay.
But this is our lifestyle, so it never was an epidemic to us. Drugs and guns and killing is part of our life.
Are you saying now that the drugs are in the county areas and rural areas, then the administration is now beginning to look at the problem and begin to solve the problem and fight it?
No, I'm saying they have a different lifestyle.
Okay.
We have a self-defeating, self-destructive lifestyle. So those things, it becomes our normal. But when you go into an area where that's a productive area and they don't have a self-defeating and it started happening to change their lifestyle, then that's the problem. It's normal.
I understand.
So that's why they're saying it's an epidemic now, because we was already, this is the way we live. Yeah. We've been doing this for years. We've been number one in heroin since the late 40s.
Is that right?
That's right. So this is our lifestyle. So it's not an epidemic. This is how we live. We need to change that.
Yes, we do, because the drug epidemic has really destroyed communities in this city.
Like I'm saying, it's an epidemic now in the county, but it's not an epidemic to us.
Right, I understand.
That's how we live.
Right.
We need to change that.
Well, I'm glad you are standing for folks in the city as well as in the counties, because this addiction problem is very destructive, and we all need to come out of it.
That's right. Well, it's the duty of mankind to uplift the fallen humanity. We fell so low that It's our job. Eventually, my job is to be out of the recovery business. Because if we stop the fuel that's fueling the addictive sin and lifestyle, which is the children, I was a child and I grew up to be an addict because nobody stopped it.
Right.
So we stopped the babies in the beginning. We changed their lifestyle, changed the way they think to a productive lifestyle. Then eventually there won't be a demand for the drugs.
Right. So I guess what would you say to the community that's watching you, all the folks in the county and the city, as far as getting to become educated and not to partake in drugs and turn their children or educate the children so that children will never ever use drugs?
Well, you have to learn. Man is the only creature that God created had to learn. And so we had to be taught, we had to be educated. And what you learn becomes part of your belief system. And everybody operate off a belief system that they believe to be true until that belief system causes them considerable problems. Then they want to change the belief system, but that's the difficult part is to change.
Right.
So we have to educate from the cradle, when they come out of the womb, not wait until they're 9 years old or 10 years old and start getting them in. We had to start at the womb. And then if we start dealing with the children, then we don't have to deal with the parents.
Right, that's true.
So, like the Bible says, the children will lead us.
Yeah, and that is so true because I salute you and celebrate you because you have the courage to stand up and do this.
Thank you.
Yeah, because most parents will embrace the symposium and because they don't want their children to be destroyed in life because they know that if their child, which has been proven to get on drugs, I mean, they become lost, even unto death.
Well, that's the whole idea of the symposium, to change the lifestyle of a people. This is part of our lifestyle. Drugs is part of our lifestyle. We have learned to live with it and deal with it. Even people that don't use drugs, if you're not infected, you are affected. So you have to recover also. We have learned how to ignore. We have learned how to walk away. We have learned how not to do nothing. We learn how to lock our doors and don't say nothing. That's right. But this is part of our lifestyle. Most places, the lifestyle is totally different.
What do you say when, heroin and crack is illegal, but now marijuana is legal in some places. So how would that affect this transition of no longer using drugs, but now a drug has then become legal?
Well, see, the whole idea is we need to be educated. All drugs are legal, but you just have to have a prescription. Okay. So it's the illegal drugs that we are concerned about.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about illegal drugs.
Drugs have a purpose. Drugs has a use. It could be beneficial, but drugs if you have a diesel chemical dependency, it's a risk taking any kind of drug.
Okay.
So you have to learn whether the benefits outweigh the risks.
Oh.
So drugs never been illegal. According to the Harrison Narcotics Act, when they just stopped selling it in the streets and start making you go to the doctors and get it. So it's the illegal drugs. They're not explaining the whole thing. Okay. So marijuana may be used for medical reasons, but now they want to legalize it for recreational, which that's the damaging part. All drugs carry a risk. Right. All drugs.
Israel, I would like for you to look in that camera, and if a parent has a child on drugs, what would you say to that parent?
Well, the parent had to be educated to say anything. Most parents become enablers because they don't have the knowledge to deal with drugs. They don't understand what drugs can do. So the only thing you can do is get educated about drugs.
Well, how can the parents get educated?
Well, there's a lot of ways to get educated. Well, for one thing, you have to study. You have to call, ask questions, read books, learn all you can about this disease. And then the more you start getting into it, a lot of people think asking about drugs is a stigma with it, but you're trying to save a life.
Right.
So we pretend like it's really not nothing happening.
Maybe a parent would like to contact your organization for help. Would you be willing to give your number?
Sure. 410-728-4491.
Say it a little slower.
410-728-4491. We open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we offer treatment on demand. But the disease of addiction is a spiritual issue. It's a spiritual disease. It affects the spirit. So even if you're not using drugs, you still may have a self-defeating, self-destructive behaviors. So we have to learn of the difference between chemical dependency, disease of addiction, substance abuse, treatment, recovery, clean, sobriety. All these things have different meanings. So we had to be educated.
And of course, you said this is a spiritual-based program, and certainly we believe that God can do anything if you ask. So again, prayer does work and it does help.
Well, that's what spirituality is. It's an ongoing, active relationship with a source that gives your life meaning and purpose. Man was not created without a meaning or purpose, but man was created and given a choice whether he want to express his purpose in life. Mm-hmm. Most of us choose the easy way, which is self-defeating, self-destructive.
All right. We'll be right back.
Now, we've been trying to deal with these problems for years, especially in Baltimore. Baltimore been #1 in heroin addiction since 1940s. And we're still #1 in heroin addiction and overdoses. But that's not an epidemic, that's our lifestyle. So this is why it's not an epidemic to us, it's our lifestyle. If it happened to anybody else with a different lifestyle, it becomes an epidemic. So a lot of people wonder why now it's an epidemic. No, this is normal for us. And there's no antidote there's no cure for the disease of addiction, and there's no cure for the disease of chemical dependency. The only antidote is you have to change the lifestyle. So we operate off the premise that I want to be put out of business. I don't want to keep treating people after they're beat up from the feet up, tore up from the floor up. I don't want to do that. We want to be out of business. And the only way we can do that is stop what's fueling the problem. Stop what's fueling the problem. And where do addicts come from? The mother's womb. And if we can catch them when they come out and change their lifestyle and put them in a productive lifestyle, give them a lifestyle that has a meaning and a purpose, they can have all the dope in the world, all the crack in the world. They just ain't gonna have nobody to sell it to. So this is why they have this meeting today. We want all the youth providers, anybody that's dealing with children, the mothers, the preachers, the politicians, everybody. And we want to come together and dialogue on how we can pool our resources. It's a lot of youth providers in Baltimore, but they're working by themselves. We need to pool ourselves and join together and create a synergy. We'll get a lot more done if we pool our resources, and we'll have a lot more power. So this is what this dialogue is all about today. So I'm gonna let one of the youth specialists take over from here, because I deal with the ones that's beat up from the feet up, tore up from the floor up. What we call dope fiends. And we want to stop that. I want to be out of business. We don't want to have to be treating symptoms of the problem. That's all we're doing. We'll never stop this drug. The war ain't on drugs. Drugs ain't never done nothing to us. Why are we fighting the drug? We need to fight the lifestyle that we live in. If we change that, they can set drugs on the corner and give it away. Nobody wouldn't take it. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Sister Khadijah Kazan.
Thank you, Israel. Good evening and thank you and welcome to Let's Talk. As Israel explained to you, he works from the adult side of things. That's a problem. We know it's a problem. We want to fix the problem before it becomes a problem, and that's what today is about. I'm going to first open up by giving you some statistics. After we look at the statistics, then we're going to answer some questions. I don't need all of your participation in the answering of these questions. After we answer the questions, then we'll get to the action plan. We have some numbers from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. They did a survey of Baltimore high school youth. Out of 1,065, 9.3% have carried a weapon on school property. Those numbers are horrendous. If it's there now, where will it be in 5 years if we do nothing? Where will it be in 10 years if we do nothing? Out of 1,100 high school students surveyed, 11.6% were threatened or injured with a weapon on a school property. How can we expect our children to go to school if this is what they're dealing with? Out of 1,037 high school students surveyed, 8% have used ecstasy. Out of 1,040, 8.4% have used cocaine. Out of 1,025, 7.3% have used methamphetamines. Out of 1,039, 7.2% have used heroin. Now, we understand what the entire country understands now about heroin. As Israel's explained, we toe up from the floor up. We have to make a difference at the young age. We must. Out of 1,028, 15.5% have taken prescription drugs without a doctor's prescription. Oxycodone, Percocet, Vicodin, codeine, Adderall, Ritalin, and Xanax. That's without a doctor's prescription. How did they get it? Where did they get it? These are questions we need to think about. Out of 1,000 high school students surveyed in 2013, 7.2% have actually injected an illegal drug into their system. Out of 996 high school students surveyed, 26.4% were offered, sold, or given an illegal drug on a school property. Not in their neighborhood, not in front of their houses, not at their friends' houses, on a school property. That's the safe zone, I thought. Now you all got, what did your money look like? Correct. Now, if a youth today averaged some of your numbers, we're not going to discuss what your numbers were. Where do you think they would be? Jail? Dead? That's the point. We don't have a shared meaning amongst children and youth of discipline and character. Strong discipline, strong character relieves the possibility of any of these things. Why? Because we all have a shared meaning. If you all added up, let's just say maybe $100. In your time, you're not in jail right now, so obviously you were able to make it through. But in 2015, it's not the same result. We need to build a shared meaning of discipline and character to resolve those problems that we just saw prior to this screen. So now that you got some information, I've given you some statistics, now's the time for their interaction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the questions. You can see the answers. And I'm going to want, each time we go 1, 2, or 3, you're going to raise your hand. I'm going to count the number of people in the room that raised for each one. The largest group, we will discuss. Because I need to understand, we need to understand, what do we mean? What do we think? One meaning of discipline for me may be different for you. Your meaning of discipline and character may be different from the youth. Okay? So the first question, what best describes a child with good discipline? And there's no right or wrong answer. Good listening skills, able to control their temper, or able to sit still. So how many we have for good listening skills?
What about all three?
Just one. How many we have for able to control their temper? Can't vote twice. Can't vote twice. And how many do we have for able to sit still? Okay, so the majority rule for good listening skills. Who raised their hands for good listening skills? Can you take the mic for me to somebody? Why do you say good listening skills is a good example of good discipline? And what's your name, please? Introduce yourself.
I'm Robert Rolak, pastor of New Life International Church.
Welcome.
Thank you. The reason I chose good listening skills, because for me it would exemplify the discipline to be able to even get the information that you need to learn. What you would need to have coping tools to be able to control your temper. And that will also cause you to sit still. So that first one kind of will help you to be able to perform the other two.
Anyone else?
I think it's important. I'm Shanika, founder for Snapback Unlimited, which is a youth program focusing on helping kids do the same thing. So for my idea, and with my own children, being the best role model as far as explaining to them, talking to them, keeping an open dialogue at home. So when we do have a problem that occurs, they will know how to deal with it with or without their dad or me around.
So you chose good listening skills, but why did you choose that?
Because I think that whatever values you instill in your child, when they leave you, you would hope that they would still keep those values with them. If they're taught over something like over a repetitive amount of time, the same way you teach a child by faith, and they won't go stray too far from that. It's the same way with everything else.
Great. Well, let me tell you, I did a survey amongst high school and elementary children. And number 2 was their answer. We do not have the same meaning. We cannot talk to them if we don't understand their language. They're not going to listen to us if they don't understand our language. We have to build a shared meaning of discipline and character.
My name is Mark, host of the Mark C. Show, and a foster parent. Been cleaning sober over 20 years. I find that my foster children that I can talk to, that listen, they get into less trouble with the temper and all that kind of stuff. And I'm able to, give them some things that I've gone through.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Our next question. This one shocked me. At what age should a child begin to help with housework? 1 year, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years and up, or none of the above? Let's start with the number 1. Raise your hands. Okay. I'm with you. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. And number 5. And number 6. Okay, so it looks like number 5 won out. Who raised their hand for number 5? Please introduce yourself and explain to us why you raised your hand.
They always said never volunteer. This is why. My name is Gerald. I'm just going by my own personal experience. When I turned 5 years old, that's when I was given the responsibility to do things. And, having that responsibility, just having a sense of responsibility, being responsible for a task, it kind of helps you initially build work ethic, and it makes you accountable. So, and I think that you have, at the time, when I was before I was 5 years old, I didn't have the mental capacity to understand any of those kind of concepts. So I mean, based upon my experience, that's why
Great.
that's why I
Thank
picked
you.
5.
Thank you. Anyone else who raised their hand? Don't get scared now. In the back there. Please
Hello.
introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Stephen Johnson, the Community Association President for Garrison Hills Community Association. I said 5 because I have a 5-year-old daughter. And through the course of 1 to 4, she watched her mother and I do household chores. So, you know, my wife takes care of things and I take care of things. So I figure between those years, she was able to understand, and now 5, she has a little bit more of an attention span. So now she can go ahead and start sweeping. So when I sweep, sometimes I have her hold the dustpan. Or, you know, when I wash the dishes, we got her little stool she stands next to, and she helps dry. So that way that she understands how to complete household chores. So as she gets older, when we come to visit her, when she's 20 and 21, her house won't be dirty. And so when she gets married to her husband, she'll then know how to take care of her household and then be able to pass that down to her children. So it's all about a cycle. And our children see what we do and they start to fit into those roles. And it's our job as men and women to be able to teach our boys and girls those roles.
No doubt.
So that way that they can continue to cycle and maintain a decent and healthy household.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you. You guys know that none of the above was what all the children said, correct? They definitely don't want to do chores. But that's, again, shared meaning of discipline and character. If they understood what they were going to learn from beginning those chores as early as possible, believe me, they would. I have children, and I started them at 3. Okay? I don't do dishes. I don't mop floors. They do it. I provide for them, I teach them, I cook for them, I nurture them. But once again, shared meaning is very, very, very important. What best describes the meaning of responsibility? Once again, no wrong or right answer. This is your opinion. Number 1, punctual. 2, quality. 3, capable. 4, thoughtful. How many do we have for number 1? Okay. Number 2? Number 3? And number 4? Mr. Mitchell in the back. Why did you say number?
Well, I picked that because I picked off of, my name is Arnold Mitchell. I'm a public school teacher, teaching karate. I picked thoughtful because they're using their mind. Thoughtful, they're using their mind, the mind thing is 90% of the whole being, thought process. To think, you basically can do anything and start thinking. I picked over because my little kids at 3 years old, the ABCs, and they can like touch hands, know the parts of their body, using the thought process. I get them doing that thought process, and the karate thing comes next, punching the block and they kicking. And I found out when they started thinking, that's a level of responsibility.
Okay.
Thoughtfulness.
Let's switch up on this one. I had a lot of hands for capable also. Who raised their hand for capable? Try to give everybody a chance. Is that a youth in the corner that raised his hand for capable? I'd love to hear his viewpoint. Good evening, sir. Why did you raise your hand for capable?
Because I'm capable of doing my homework and cleaning my room.
That's what responsibility means to you. Okay. Anybody else for capable? Those were the 2 largest numbers that I saw. What best describes the... What would you use as a good example of good morals? Instigating a fight, watching a fight, breaking up a fight, or avoiding a fight? Think hard about that one. Number 1, instigating a fight. Number 2, watching a fight. Number 3, breaking up a fight. And number 4, avoiding a fight. Wow. This is where we're on the same page with the youth, because the majority of the youth said avoiding a fight. Let's switch up again. Sir, you raised your hand for breaking up a fight. Explain that to me, please. And please introduce yourself.
My name is Kenneth Phillips. I'm a co-founder of Snapback Unlimited. Why I say breaking up a fight is sometimes you are put into a fight. You can't avoid some fights. I mean, you can be who you are. You can be the one that says you're going to avoid that fight. I've seen kids bullied into a fight. Being an outside person to be able to walk up and say, I'm going to break up this fight, to me, stands out with more good morals. I've seen children that are basically really good kids, but because they're being bullied every day and someone's picked on them, and they have avoided that fight, they've talked to the teacher, they've talked to their parents, they've had all that happen, and the kid that is sitting, they're with their friends and they're instigating that fight, and you still have those kids that are just watching that fight, and that kid is still trying to avoid that fight and still has to fight. So it takes that one person that can walk up to break up that fight. Means more good morals to me.
Thank you. Thank you. Avoiding a fight. There are a lot of hands for that one. Anybody?
My name is John Kaysen, and I chose avoiding a fight because I think it takes a lot more thoughtfulness and negotiating skills to evaluate, what is the advantage of not getting into this altercation. And so also from the point of view of the harm that's going to come to both parties. In other words, it's not going to benefit anybody to go through this, assuming we're talking about fighting, with youth. So from that point of view, I think it represents a higher moral position to be able to think it through and understand the benefits, the pros and cons of the fight, which ultimately should leave you in a position of this ain't worth it. This ain't the way to settle the issue. Let me find a better way.
Thank you. Thank you. Does everybody understand now the reason for shared meaning? Do you understand that if we're not on the same page, we can't affect change? Now, this is two gentlemen who obviously are successful in their lives. They work with youth. They're here to help. But they have two different meanings. Now, if two adults have a different meaning, how can a child have an understanding of what good morals are? We have to come together and build a shared meaning. I believe this is the last one. This was the funny one for me. What is the best way to communicate? Telephone, email, social media, or text? Anybody who works with children understand why this was a funny one for me. Number 1, telephone. How many? Okay. Number 2, email. Number 3, social media. And number 4, text. Okay, so telephone and social media kind of were hand in hand. Who did we have for telephone?
Hi, my name is Amin Watson, mental health therapist, working with children primarily. I chose telephone because at least it's a really simple answer, you at least get to be able to measure the tone. All of the other methods only allow you to read words, and sometimes words can be misconstrued.
Hi, my name is Selena Gladden. I'm with Roots of Scouting in Baltimore City Public Schools. I picked social media because my students, I teach middle school students, and that is a big thing for them, social media. And as Mr. Amin said, a lot of things can be misconstrued, and which most of the time it does. but that is a big, a hot topic for them.
Thank you. Now, that's actually the one that we're on the same page with. Of course, all of you said social media. Everybody's on Facebook. Everyone's on Instagram. Picking up a telephone and talking anymore is null and void, basically. If you can't text, I'm not dealing with you. Nobody wants to interact. So now that we had a chance to understand all of our differences, let's find our similarities. What I want to start to do now is form some solutions for our youth. This is only a beginning today. This is not a chance for me to come up here and talk and us all to talk together and I see you again in a year for another cutesy event. No, that's not what this is about. This is the groundwork and the blueprint for further action. There's a lot of organizations here today that I will be interacting with more. Hopefully, you'll get a chance. If you see on your table, there's a list where you can put your name, email, and your contact information and what you choose to do to commit. If today coming and giving input was all that you want to do to commit, I'm not upset. Thank you for coming. If all you have is a telephone number to give of someone who you know can help, thank you. We'll take it. Anything that you want to do to commit, we are trying to build shared meaning. We want to build unity amongst everyone in this room and many more in the city of Baltimore. We have to affect change. So what we're going to do now is on the easel, we're going to go ahead and I want, if we can get maybe 5 to 7 problems. Everybody in the room, raise your hand. We'll come around with the mic, or you can yell it out because it's not going to really be an extensive answer. You're going to list down what do you think the problems are that our youth have. This is based on everything I gave you, all that you know, all that you interact with. Let's make a list of what the actual problems are. After we make a list of the problems, I want suggestions for methods. Let's make a list of methods. And then some committees for action plans. Examples of committees could be a school team, a street team. You're actually going out and walking down the street. I'm just giving examples. And talking to them. After school, they're all sitting out in the spring and the summertime. Walk up to them. Why are you sitting here? What you do today? There's different things that we can do. There's no wrong answer. I just need collaboration and unity. Okay, so first one for problems.
Testing. Oh. The skill set behind learning and like in and out.
Thank you. So whoever is teaching you, or do you mean your ability to take the information in? Both ways. So basically, interaction between the child and the student, both ways, that's a real impactful skill set.
Correct.
Anybody else? Sir?
Yeah.
Sir?
Collateral, dealing with the collateral damage of addiction, the violence, the poverty, the homeless, youth homeless, 600 youth homeless every night, you know, those types of things, the mental health, you know, all those
So
things.
how would what would we put down as a problem? One specific problem through all of that.
The collateral damage of crack addiction.
I was just going to piggyback on what she said about education, but I also think we should attack it from valuing of self, because I think if they don't, we can educate all we want, but if an individual doesn't value self, then that education is not going to really go a very long way.
Would you say that that fell under character development? I'm sorry?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, thank you.
I would say the lack of communication by positive role models in the community.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to say about the kids embracing stupidity. You know, at that point where they're actually trained by the media from what they see to act a certain way towards stuff. So what do we do about that?
Give me so what? Trained by stupid media? I mean, we can put that down.
It's like the music You know, what you see on TV,
Pop
the
culture.
movies. Yeah, and then basically, there's like 6 media companies in control of everything, and basically through that and the FCC is the only reason that stuff gets out and stuff. You know, if they wanted to tell everybody, make it Disneyland fantasy, then that's what it would be, but they don't give you that. They give you the violent side, so they can basically set you up to be incarcerated so they can make money off of you.
I would say break down in the family structure. And just for a couple of examples, the guy mentioned about, you know, people getting locked up, or you know how we're profiled, and ours like a conspiracy. We've been saying it for years on the black man, but you know it's like to get the man out of the house, and then once the man's out the house, you know you dealing with stuff like the drug addiction because they're acting out because you know the head isn't there, then teenage pregnancy. So that's a gamut under that, but we can try to deal with the family structure being rebuilt, if you will, from the top down.
Makes sense.
It would make a difference.
Mr. Kaysen.
I agree with everything that everyone has said so far, and I think that the thing that's missing is a shared cultural understanding or foundation.
What do you mean by cultural?
What I mean by that is that there's no common sense of who we are and what are the parameters of the path for social growth and development for us. So therefore, we can be educated, which I agree with, but if you get educated just to move away and go somewhere else and be good on your own, then what good is it? You can have a family structure, but if that is just to go someplace else and live with other families that you think you want to be like, then what good is it? So I believe that it's because all of us as adults give our collective body of children a different understanding of who they are and what their responsibility to us as a people is. And I can just say it when I'm Israel's brother. That's what his mother told me. When we were coming up,
I hope so.
When we were coming up, and some of you may have had the same thing, but basically what we were told was get an education, get a good job, and get out. It means get away from this environment that we were living in. And I think that a lot of people had that shared. And so now we've come to a point where our children cannot see what is a common cultural understanding or identity that they should have, such that we can develop a true cohesiveness, which will take all those other things into account.
So what we say, a need for a common cultural identity?
Yes.
Okay. We haven't heard from you, sir.
I think we need like a rites of passage for these young men coming up.
No doubt.
A lot of these young men don't know how to be. There's too many families, too many women are raising children. These men, they're doing a good job, but they need a man.
How many do we have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4. Somebody, I'm going to go back to the, sir, you haven't spoken.
Garrick Williams, Park Heights Saints football, youth football
Welcome.
program. Yes, I think it's a couple, because all of them up there are good, but until we establish trust, ain't none of that's going to work.
No doubt. Yes.
And then just another little slight other one is that we need to address hopelessness is a problem, because in trash, when I teach my kids, if you're around trash, you think you're trash. So, and also the other thing is, I think we look at our kids a lot. I think the adults have to lead the path, like you were saying with the rites of passage. It always started from the oldest, go all the way around to the one that we should protect is that last little baby. So all these things is good with these children, but it starts with us first, because ain't nobody coming, and we have to deal with that, and then we teach our kids, and I think all that'll work.
Great. Did we get his down? Trust. Mr. Israel Kaysen, give me a problem.
I think one of the problems is that we operate off a faulty belief system. You know, most belief systems are established by the age of 7 or 8, and everybody operates off a belief system that they believe to be true. And they don't find out that the belief system is faulty until it causes them considerable problems. So we have to change the belief system, which is the difficult part, so we compromise our belief system and live in a delusional life. You know, we won't accept reality. So if you come up in a false-based belief system, it's difficult making a transition into adulthood. But people that come up with a reality-based belief system usually make that transition into adulthood and become productive members of society. So I think we have a faulty belief system.
Great, thank you. We have 6. I'm going to try to get 10.
What I'm thinking I really can't put into words just yet, but it's mainly kind of what Brother Kason said as far as, and I think that there's a lady in the back who also mentioned it. It's examples, positive role models. I mean, we were talking about some of the questions asked about, you know, when you assign housework and so forth, and what is your feeling about the idea of responsibility. And all of those things, to me, are learned behavior. Children, when they grow up, if they see a pattern of a routine of you come home, you do certain things, you prepare for dinner, everybody eats dinner together. After dinner, everybody cleans up, you know. And if you establish that routine, by the time that child gets to that age of 5 that we basically all agreed is when you can start assigning responsibility. By that time they have an example that they can work from. And at the same time, that helps you establish the point of responsibility, because they are capable of fulfilling their responsibility, because for one, they know how. Secondly, they're physically able to perform the task. And third, they want to do it because they see this is the example that's been set for them, and this is the way things are going to be, you know, supposed to be. So a child, if they see a positive role model, they want to emulate that behavior. And so they can't wait. You know, they're excited about getting to that point, because to them, that's a part of growing up, that's a part of being an adult, and assuming responsibility, all of that is good stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important that I don't want to just say simply a role model, but examples, you know? And like Brother Kason was saying, if all of the good examples grow up and be successful and leave the community,
who's left?
Then you don't have those examples. So it's important that you grow up, be successful, but hang around so that you can reach back and pull another one forward.
Correct.
Did that make sense?
Yes, it did. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go back to some. What number are we on? 6, 7?
I think one of mine is we've lost a tribal belief.
I'm sorry?
We've lost community, is what I think. We lost that fact of that a village raises a child a lot. It's not just one person raising a child. When we were back in Africa, let's go that far back, when one person had a baby, your aunt may breastfeed that baby, watch that baby, take care of that baby, and that may be your baby, but that community raised that child. We as a people now have forgot that, as that a community raises a child. This is my child, I raise him, he's gonna grow up the way I want him to raise. When back then, or even when my mom and them were growing up, it was everybody raised that one child. And we had to, and without that, just like Mr. Keyshawn said, that brings in the trust factor again. It brings it right back to the fact that we lost trust in each other as a community. And until we get the trust amongst ourselves, none of it will work.
It's so important. And that's the importance of everyone here today. We all are a part of Baltimore City's community. We can go work, come home, go to your house, eat dinner, watch TV, go to sleep, and get up and do the same thing again tomorrow. And you're going to see the same thing that you see on the news every night. You're going to hear the same gunshots that you hear outside your door every night. It doesn't have to be that way. Baltimore can be the best city in this country. It can be. The resources that are available here in this city are extreme. But we don't work together. I have my organization, you have your organization, I have my job, you have your job. We do not come together. It's not about a paycheck. It's about a future. Because if those statistics start to grow, there will be no future in Baltimore. We already know about the mass exodus from Baltimore. We need to bring in the mass income. We must do this. I think we're going to stop at one more, because I want to get to the methods. I really want to get to the methods.
My name is Sharina, and I'm looking at everything that you have up there, which is pretty cool, but I'm coming from where me as a parent who has that child that's not disciplined, and say I was a parent that had a parent who did the same thing to me, so it becomes a pattern. And I'm asking about something for the parents that want the help to be able to learn how to discipline their children, to be able to learn how to, to have some hope and knowing that they can be a mom and that they don't have that stress. Because it's stressful when we do not have what, and you got that kid and it's embarrassing, people looking at you, they talking about, I'm not nothing, you're not this. They need some encouragement and strength that in spite of all that, and because I was an addict, that I'm still be able to raise my mother because I'm learning how to live a new life and not keep being accountable. Because you got a lot of parents who was those kind of people, including myself, who trying to change and want to learn how to do better. How about teaching the parents who want to know and do better, programs for them to help them so we can, because I can't help myself, I can't help my child. And it starts with the parents, and I'm one of those parents who maybe want to do that. And I'm sure there's many other parents out here think that before all that, we need to be right with ourselves. And you don't have to be addict in that way. You just got people who just messed up and need that God to learn. We don't know. They go by, and then especially with children having babies young, they don't properly know how to take care of themselves, no longer baby. So it's a pattern they keep going, and somehow we can't always break it like that. We don't have the power to do that. But we do have the power to teach the parents or the people who do want the help. Because it's always like, it starts with the parent. But if the parent not right, we can't go nowhere. So we need to think about some kind of solution to help with the parents that want it to be able so they can help the children to get better. Thank you.
Support for the parents. Support for families and parents. Okay. Lacking parenting skills, that's the problem. Thank you. Very good summary. Sure.
How about courage? And the reason I say that.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Courage from the community, from a adult community standpoint. Courage to be able to approach the youth. Because, there's a fear factor where people don't want to be involved. People don't want to, most people are afraid of our youth, because they think, it ain't their problem. All those different things that we said about watching a fight, avoiding a fight, whatever. Everybody, they don't want to talk on the telephone. They rather because there's no interpersonal communication. So I was just thinking about courage for the adults or for this community to be able to start taking, like we had before, each one teach one. Each man in the community take a youth under their wing and go back to the role model and all that. But you have to have courage to do that.
I'd put that under method or solution. I'd put that under solution. Keep that. I'm coming back there. And then one more, and we're going to get to the methods.
To go along with the last two statements, as a community is inactive. People see wrongs every day in the community, whether you was in prison, in jail, and we knew it's wrong and nobody say nothing. The neighbors that go to community meetings complain about the neighbors, but nobody say, good morning, good afternoon. Me as a person in the neighborhood, I made an impact in Brooklyn by just going to say good morning, good afternoon. Whether it was homeowners, drug addicts, I know people that saved their life just because I said good morning, good afternoon, and I sold them drugs and I prayed for them. That's right. Because I prayed for them when I sold drugs to them. I wasn't locked up. When I came home, they never did drugs again. So it don't matter who did it, whether it's a drug addict, a homeowner, a pastor. If we spread love in the neighborhood, it's going to be love. Our basketball players is dying. They don't want to die. So we say, yo, brother, yo, you don't got to do that. Yo, $1 don't sell drugs, yo. Or come to my house, play my video game or something. That's love in the neighborhood. One love, save the neighborhood. Nothing else.
Do you all remember maybe 15 years ago when you would drive down the street and everybody waved as you went by? Does that happen today? How many times do you pass a stranger on the street and you don't even smile or say hi? We're not human beings dealing with human beings anymore. We're just bodies going through life. And our children see this. They are affected by it. They repeat our behaviors. Shared meaning of character and discipline.